Hello everyone, welcome to episode 6 of Enter the Javelin, Mixer's first Anthem community web show. For those of you joining us for the first time, my name is Lupo and I'll be your host for this evening. This past weekend was EA Play press conference, and we got a boatload of new Anthem information. Names of the Javelins that are going to be available to us at launch, an introduction to the story and lore, a basic overview of combat and the weapon systems, an insight to the customization and personalization, including future plans for monetization. That's a lot of isations, and a whole lot more. Now the place that I want to start is the release date, because we finally have a release date. Anthem will be available on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC on February 22nd, 2019. That's like a whole month before we originally thought we were going to get it. So, my initial expectation for release date was looking more like March 12th. And I think that's kind of the general consensus of the community over the last few weeks or so. So to see it a month earlier is going to be absolutely incredible. So you can actually pre-order Anthem right now at EA.com on the Origin launcher or any of your favorite third-party sellers like Amazon or Best Buy. Anthem's going to have 2 different versions at launch from what we're understanding. There's going to be the standard version that's going to be $60 US, and there's going to be the Legion of Dawn or Deluxe Edition that's going to be $80 US. There have been some questions recently to some of the devs about a collector's edition or something with more physical items, and those are going to be in if there is going to be one announced, that's going to be in the future. So right now it's just the 2 editions. It's the standard and Legion of Dawn, which is the deluxe. So with your pre-order of both editions, you're going to get VIP demo access. Now this is really yet to be fully explained, but from what it sounds like, you'd get access to the demo that was played at EA Play this weekend. Now, this is only speculation. They haven't really confirmed that 100%. But I will say that it looks pretty good that is what we're going to get. But the timetable is another thing that we're kind of unsure about. So we could potentially see this well before a beta, but we'll leave that for the weeks to come until we really know more about what that is. So you get the VIP demo access. You're gonna get an in-game founder's emblem, which is like the new branding. It's gonna be like a pink flag or pink or coral color flag with the triangles logo for your character in game. And then you're gonna get the legendary ranger skin and weapon pack that looks just like the they're calling it the Legion of Dawn group's weapon and skin set. With the deluxe or Legion of Dawn edition, you're going to get the matching armor sets for the other 3 Javelin classes. Yeah, as Mule says, the Legion of Boom. Absolutely. I agree with you, man. I think they look really slick too. So with the deluxe, you're going to get the 3 other Javelin classes, the armor for the 3 other Javelin classes. You're going to get an additional Legendary Ranger attachment and a digital version of the game soundtrack. So I don't know how much other people are invested into collector's editions and all that sort of stuff, but I look forward to any sort of extra little things in a game that I really look forward to. So this is something that I will be investing my time and money in. Definitely for sure on the main platform, whichever I choose, which you will discuss later, because I put a poll out on Twitter and we got some really great feedback on that. So I kind of want to look at that at the end, but we'll save that for a little bit later before we get to questions later. So now, with all that said, there's actually a few ways to play the game earlier than the 22nd. There is a thing called EA Access on Xbox, and then Origin on PC has the same thing called Origin Access, which is a subscription. It's a $5 a month subscription. You'll be able to play the game for about 10 hours before launch, 5 days early. So 10 total hours of gameplay, 5 days, starting 5 days before launch. Now, the interesting thing that was announced at EA Play this weekend is that Origin now is going to offer a premium subscription that includes a bunch more other perks, and the most important thing that they're calling it Origin Access Premier. And what Origin Access Premier is going to offer the subscribers is unlimited access to all new games 5 days early. So we're going to get Anthem on the 22nd. That's released to the general public. If you order via Origin with an Origin Premier subscription, you're going to get it on the 17th with unlimited access. So 5 days limited access. JJ the Machine, yes, unless they... so JJ asks, is this only going to be a PC thing? For right now, yes, unless they announce an EA Access Premiere, which is definitely possible. This is only a PC feature right now. I think this is only the case because it's a first party thing. Origin is very much tied to EA as they own it and they control the launcher. But that's yet to be seen. It's something we may see in the future, but that's really up to Microsoft and EA at that point. So that's definitely something to be exciting. So regardless of it, I'm going to be playing on two consoles. I know I've talked to Mule and I think he's going to be playing on two consoles as well. But I'll definitely be playing PC 5 days early. That's for damn sure regardless. So we'll take a look at some of the things they discussed in the story trailer this week, because up until now, some of the details about what the world is about and why we choose to fight really was unknown until this week. So what they'd shown us this week is, or this weekend rather, it's only like 2 days ago. The world of Anthem was built by gods, and these gods had tools of great power that they were building the world with. They had immense power to build the world with, and they just got up and disappeared. And they left these tools in place. Like the devs kind of described it as going into like a machine shop and just all of a sudden things turning on, and you can potentially hurt yourself with these tools if you don't know how to handle them. And obviously, being gods, they are very much more powerful than human beings, but we just don't know how to harness the energy of these things or manipulate them the way we need them to. And now these tools that they used in tandem with an unknowable force. We'll even call it the force, but what they choose to call it is the Anthem of Creation. So it's an unknown force, an unknown variable that they use to create life, create worlds, to create matter. And now that they've left these tools and the Anthem of Creation always exists, they're constantly at conflict with each other and causing new creations and changes in the wildlife and changes in the terrain and changes in the weather, and these are all severely hazardous to the humans and other creatures that exist in this particular world. Now, this is not Earth, as we've come to find out, but these are very much humans. And this is not a colony. This is humanity's home planet. This is where they came from. And the world is just constantly in flux because of these the tools and the Anthem of Creation constantly reacting with each other. Now, we spoke before about the Legion of Dawn, and what the Legion of Dawn is. I just actually put a video on YouTube about it, a really short one that we can talk about a little bit more in depth. So the Legion of Dawn were a group of people that humanity sent out to deal with some of these things and prevent larger, catastrophes with the tools and the Anthem of Creation. the Legion of Dawn were humanity's only hope at the time. Now, years and years down the line, because they even say ancient at this point, the people of the Legion of Dawn become at conflict with each other, where they did decide to splinter because they have a conflict of opinion, where some of the people want to use these tools and use the power of the Anthem to weaponize it and harness that energy for their own purposes, while the other group wanted to just maintain the quality of life for the rest of humanity and the good people of Fort Tarsus. So the people that choose to neutralize the threats are the freelancers, and that's where we are as the main protagonists of the game. And the people that choose to try to harness the energy, they are known as the Dominion. And like I said before, this is like an age-old conflict that the freelancers and the Dominion have, and they're constantly at wits with each other to either gain power or neutralize power of the tools and the Anthem. And the freelancers just want to let people live. That's really what it comes down to. So this is going to tie into, I think, the main critical path in the story. That's really yet to be foretold at this point. But I think it's an interesting thing, and what they say about the way the lore has been laid out, like, it's constantly changing, and they can put new things in the game and it never affects canon because of how they have already implemented these things that allow for random and sudden change. So kudos to them to be able to think ahead and say, you know what, if we try this particular thing and it doesn't work, we can very, very easily wipe the slate clean and start a new focus in the world and a new enemy, a new threat, new places to discover and explore. There's no reason why they can't circle back either. That's not something they necessarily touched on, but it's certainly something to consider at that point. So that's really what we have as far as like the story goes. I'm sure other people can explain it in much greater depth than I can, but I tried to get as much of all information as possible from what was going on this weekend, and there's just information everywhere. I watched the EA Play conference, which was one thing. IGN had their own coverage, which they had interviews with game director John Warner, where he basically broke down all of the gameplay that we saw in this year's presentation. Mark Dara actually went to Twitter. Mark Dara is the executive producer, and he went to Twitter and actually just asked people and said, hey, what do you want to know? And I'll answer the question. So he spent basically the last 24 hours or almost 36 hours taking in people's questions and answering new and more relevant questions. So I'll take some of the questions at the end and see if I remember some of the things that were asked or answered in these AMAs. But it's a lot of information, like I said. So the presentation, the interviews with IGN, a executive producer answering questions on Twitter, and then Game Informer has the cover story this month. So Game Informer has put Anthem on the cover for June, and they are going to have exclusive interviews where Joe Juba had Joe Juba is very good with he does like the rapid fire questions, kind of like ask questions to devs and stuff like that, asking very specific questions about the game or the game's development, and they're always looking for quick one-line answers or rapid-fire answers. So that's another thing they have. So it's 130 questions that they asked Mark Dara. So that's another source of information. So we're just kind of deciphering everything here, and we'll have everything sorted out very, very soon because it's a whole lot of stuff to go through. So if you guys are watching in YouTube in the future, my buddy Plan B just dropped a fat raid on the stream here. And he just announced his Mixer partnership. So congratulations, Plan B. It's a very, very astute honor to have you in here, man. God, you got nice hair. My hair's okay, Craptic, but appreciate it. Plan B, man. I really like. I'll pause real quick on what we're doing here to just say, I don't think I've met a person that streams that has persevered more than Plan B, because he just had tons of issues in the beginning. Me and him kind of started out at the same time, and we were finding ourselves, and like Plan B's biggest issue was his internet, and it was always just getting him down and knocking him down. He's just like, screw this, we'll get good internet. And dude, ever since, just been on his way, and it's been really, really great to see. So appreciate it, Plan B, for the host, man. And best wishes to you and in your future endeavors. All right, so back on topic. I just wanted to stop and say that because I was really kind of shocked to see my man in here. But we'll yeah, thank you, Plan B. We'll get into the Javelin. So the first gameplay trailer, we saw very extensive looks at the time. I mean, you can't say extensive now, but they showed two specific Javelin classes. They showed us the Ranger and they showed us the Colossus. And I'm going to throw up the slides here so we can kind of see a whole bunch of different stuff going on, because a whole bunch of new screenshots and stills and in-depth looks at the different classes. So we had the Ranger, we had the Colossus. The Ranger's like your all around balanced type of Javelin that can pretty much do anything. And what we're finding out now is that it's a good balance between strength and mobility. While your Colossus is more like your traditional tank in an RPG, where it's slow moving but hits really hard, takes a lot of damage, ready to get in the fight. But what we also see in the gameplay is that it can you can be a ranged attacker too. You don't have to, just because you're a tank doesn't mean you have to be up in the front and ground pound everything and take the damage. Like, you can do a lot of damage from far away as well. So that's a very encouraging thing to see as well. So with those two, in the original gameplay, we saw a third class, and we didn't have a name for it at the time. So people were calling it the Floaty Javelin, or the Techno Mage, the Technomancer. What are other ones they called it? It was really just more like the caster was some of the names for it. But now we actually do have a name for it, and it's called the Storm. So the Storm is a very interesting class. They call it a glass cannon. So it plays similar to your traditional RPG mages and things like that. Does a lot of good ranged attacks with magic, and if you look at some of the gameplay that they've showed us, you see the three other Javelins moving with jump jets. Now the Storm actually moves with the power of the Anthem of Creation. Like, it is used some of that power to harness it, and that's how it moves. It kind of like levitates as opposed to using rockets or jetpacks and stuff like that. So very interesting to learn more, but that's about the extent of what we learned of the Storm class. So I'm very excited to learn more about it. And then the fourth class that we got is the most recent one. Let's hopefully they show. I'll show it in here. I got a random slideshow going, so it's kind of just all out of sorts. But the last class is called the Interceptor, and you'll see it. It's a bright green one. Looks very slick and sleek, and they haven't really defined it yet. So they tell us that, or they've suggested that it's like a rogue class, like a traditional rogue class. And if you're not familiar with like the rogue class, the rogue is about sneaking and stealth and like high burst damage or high spike damage. So we could potentially see it be similar to like Zero in Borderlands, where you can kind of just get around and you're sniping and you're using your stealth and mobility to exploit the enemies and stuff like that. So it's this one here. So if you see that one there, I think it looks pretty cool, but I'd really love to see more about it. I actually tweeted John Warner today, and he messaged back. He said, in due time we'll see more. So I think that's another thing that has been great, is the level of transparency that the devs have had recently. So down, if you're watching on Mixer, down below you'll see there are some interactive buttons, and there's the Anthem subreddit I believe the Discord's there. So you will see that in the Anthem subreddit Discord, there is a lot of devs in there. Brennan Holmes, Velrec. I don't even know some of these. I know them, but know them more by their Discord handles. Let's see here. I think it's right there. Okay, so discord.gg/Anthem Reddit. You can also find them in the Anthem Insider Discord as well. So if you go to the Anthem Insider website and follow the link to their Discord, there are some devs in there as well, and they're constantly throwing some tidbits of information, nothing too crazy, but they're really excited to see the community engagement. And watching the reveal on Saturday, this past Saturday, I had the opportunity to just be in there with some of them, and they were very nervous about how the fans would react to the reveal, and it's good now, and even better in hindsight, knowing that there's a very warm reception to the things. And this is one of my favorite pictures here, like seeing the group like that with all 4 classes set up. And I'm really just excited to learn more about what's going on. So now we have the 4 javelins: the Ranger, the Colossus, the Storm, and the Interceptor. We'll talk a little bit more about combat and how they break down some of the weapon systems and the ability systems. So from what we've gathered, some other content creators on YouTube and YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, stuff like that, they have had early hands-on access to the game itself. So the demo that was shown at EA Play, both on screen, during the live stream, and at the presentation at the event there, they had the opportunity to play that. So they were all very happy with what they saw. There were certain things that they wanted to address as things that were opportunities. So the biggest thing there were, like, you play a looter shooter, Destiny, Division, and you see like the hit numbers in the gameplay reveal. They were very big. They're in the Anthem gameplay reveal. They were very, very big numbers. So it was a little off-putting, and I didn't realize it at first until a lot of people started talking about it. I was like, you know what? They're kind of big. They're kind of glaring, and they stand out a bit. So I'm sure it's something that they can very easily tweak, and I say easy as a relative term because I'm not a developer. I don't know how these things work, but it seems like a low-hanging fruit as opposed to fixing a major gameplay mechanic in and of itself. So yes, Darklife says like Borderlands. Yeah, very much like Borderlands. And I feel the way that they have the classes designed is more like Borderlands than any of the other looter shooters out there. And people don't want to agree with me, and it irks me, but at the same time, people are open to their opinions and stuff like that. But the combat and customizations are the abilities are based off of loot drops. So you don't necessarily spec into, having the mortar or something like that. You have to find it in the world. It has to drop for you. And what Brennan Holmes, he's the technical design director on Anthem, what he laid out for us today is that there's actually 6 tiers of quality of rarity. There's let's see, common, uncommon, rare, legendary, epic, and ancient. So there's 6 tiers of loot drops, and what a lot of the things they showed in the gameplay reveal was a lot of legendary items. So I watched the Rick Kakis video yesterday, and he kind of explained his time with the hands-on and how some of these legendary items impacted the gameplay at a higher level. So, you know, certain guns gave you an AoE effect. So if you connected 10 headshots in a row on an auto rifle, you'd get like an electrical AoE or something like that. So the biggest thing that they emphasized is that, just very much like Borderlands, that you can get the same gun multiple times and keep repeating yourself, but you could potentially get better versions of these guns moving forward in the game, progressing in the game. So that's a very it's a very reassuring thing coming from a person like me. Like I play a lot of Destiny, and the problem that Destiny 2 has is the diversity of the loot and armor. Now, they didn't really break down the armor systems too much or how that's going to work in Anthem, but it seems like armor in and of itself is really more of like a customization. Armor's more like a skin, and then your attachments are really what sets you apart and what's going to change the look of your armor overall. But they do say that there's ways to change the looks, the skin, and the geometry of your armor. And that's their one main form of monetization, is that you're going to be able to direct buy vanity items. So there is no loot boxes, and I'll reiterate this multiple times because I think it's a huge concern that a lot of people had. There's going to be 0 loot boxes in Anthem. There's going to be 0 pay to win mechanics, no pay for power mechanics. Any money you put into the game, besides what you pay for at launch for now, is all going to be vanity items. They haven't released or discussed content, like a content cadence or how that's going to go, but they're very suggestive in the way that there may be free content moving forward, which would be a very interesting concept in a game as large scale as this. And I'd be interested to see how that plays out moving forward, because, you know, I don't like always going back to the thing of saying like, this is what Destiny does and this is what Anthem should do, or this is what Division did and this is what Destiny should do. But Destiny just announced their year 2 content cadence for Destiny 2. So they're going to have a $40 expansion come September. Now, with that, they also announced 3 additional content drops over the course of the year for another $30. So for a year's worth of content, you get $70. You get it for $70. Now, I don't necessarily have a problem with that, and I really prefer them laying it out to us in up front, saying this is what you're going to get with this. But at the same time, it is a lot of money, and it may hinder other people from wanting to purchase that. So to see a game like Anthem, who is basically going to be a direct competitor for a game like Destiny, potentially offering a free content cadence moving forward, is definitely something to think about. That seems like the trend for E3 this year, is the free content. Well, I think it's no secret that EA, DICE, whoever you want to point the finger at, or whoever wants to accept the responsibility for it, really messed up with how Battlefront 2 decided to monetize the game. And not only did it set precedence for them as a company, it set a precedence for the industry as a whole. So other games, you know, like you said, Battlefield 5 is going to be free content updates moving forward. I think Division Division just got announced today, and that has a very consumer-friendly approach to. And Dark Life is confirming that for me. They have a very consumer-friendly approach to content moving forward for Division 2, which launches in March. So that's another thing that we can discuss in the next few minutes. Is competition for Anthem is going to be very high. Being in that early, last quarter of the fiscal year for most companies. And it's usually like a dead period, but it seems more and more that companies want to put games into that pocket, because it's recouping any kind of loss that you may have made over the year. Fallout, Dark Life is saying Fallout might too. I mean, which is slightly more interesting now that Fallout is going to be in a similar vein. Like, it's not. Fallout isn't going to be a looter shooter or anything like that, but it does operate in the same space of saying it's a cooperative game. It's an online cooperative game that could potentially take some of that timeshare. So that'll definitely be interesting to see moving forward. PvPvE. That's what Dark Life says. Fallout 76 is gonna be PvPvE. That'd be interesting. I mean, I'm not opposed to it. It seems, actually, you know what? So Destiny announced a PvPvE. It's called Gambit. That's gonna be in September's update, and it looks pretty good. It's a very interesting concept that you're fighting enemies, you're collecting things, you have to bank them in a bank, so you can summon the boss, more or less. So when you bank stuff, the other team, they can't put into their bank. They have to basically kill a mini boss to get to their bank, and then you can go to their side, you can invade their side and prevent them from breaking the blocker, and the rest of your team can continue depositing and get to your own boss. So it's gonna be an interesting thing to see. Some content creators from YouTube and Twitch, they went to Bungie about 2 months ago to take a look at some of the things they had coming in the future, and this is a thing that they all got their hands on, and they were just like, this is the greatest thing ever, and then they didn't want to stop playing it. So PvPvE I am not opposed to in any sort of game, and that's another conversation too about some of the things that we saw in things that we've been reading about Anthem right now. There's no PvP in the game at launch. That has been 100% confirmed, but it's not something that they're going to rule out over the lifetime of Anthem. Now, my only hesitation with that is with a game that could potentially have the story that Anthem does, you want it to remain canon. So a PvPvE type of game is definitely something that would fit more so than just a head-to-head combat type of thing like Destiny has. So, like similar to the Dark Zone Division, but like I just without all the griefing. Like that was my problem with the Dark Zone, is that there was just tons of griefing everywhere. But PvP, I wouldn't mind not having the game, but there has to be enough content to support the game long term. So if your gameplay loop for a PvE activity, or your PvP game modes, however many there may be, or however big the game loop is, or the gameplay loop is, as long as that satisfies a 20-hour-a-week habit, which is the average enthusiast. I'm not talking about someone who's hardcore, who's gonna like no life the game, and I'm not talking about a person that's only gonna play once a week. And I would define an enthusiast as someone who plays 10 to 25 hours a week. It's a part-time job. That's really where you have to look at it. But if your core gameplay loop can sustain weekly 10 to 25 hours a week, I don't think you need to add other things. I don't think it necessarily needs PvP. The best part of Division was the Dark Zone. I don't like I said, like, you know, me and Dark Life, we go way back. We played Division when it first launched, and kind of I fell off, and I think they kept playing. I went back to Destiny, but it was tough in the beginning. The Dark Zone was a very dark place in the beginning, and I don't want to sound corny or anything like that, but it was a tough place, and it was one of the places that had some of the best loot. So if you wanted to get it, you had to go in there, get sweaty, and you know, figure out how to defeat or outsmart some of the people trying to grief the game. And that's just the main reason why I don't want to see a game mode like that in Anthem. I think one of the larger problems with Anthem is how much verticality they have, because there's practically no ceiling. You can basically go until the thing tells you to go, and then you'll start overheating. And I think that's what they put in place to prevent having to necessarily put a ceiling in the game. But they say that there's, like, you know, you get too high, and then you deal with this area of like turbulence and stuff like that. So we've discussed a general overview of the story. We've discussed the 4 javelins and their names. We've discussed some of the combat. We'll go back to combat in a second, but we've discussed monetization and their plans for that moving forward. So we discussed customization. So we'll go back to combat and just talk about some of those things, because it's very, very interesting how similar it is to Andromeda. So basically, I've watched a lot of videos and listened to a lot of commentary about how the game plays right now. So basically, it's very typical of, you know, a more recent BioWare game, where you have an ability tied to your left bumper, you have an ability tied to your right bumper. Now, what they do that Andromeda did is that your switch weapons and your reloader, both on the same button, would be on the X button on the Xbox controller, or square on the PlayStation controller. So it's very much like Anthem. You have a melee attack that it's like a 2-second cooldown, but all of your abilities are tied to drops, similar to, you know, that's not necessarily exactly like Borderlands, but Borderlands, like, your grenade ability was tied to whatever you picked up, you know. So I think that's an interesting thing. And even the way you build your character in Borderlands, so you'd get like the modules. I forget what they were actually called, but you know, you'd have different speccings by these modules that you picked up, and that's similar to Anthem, that there's different levels of rarity for your abilities, and that's how you spec them out. So basically, you are a Javelin pilot, an exosuit pilot, and you have that core leveling up that they do. So your pilot may, you know, have better ability with flying, or may have better ability with with movement, or can reduce cooldown on evade moves or something like that. But then you're also going to have the ability to level up different armor or different weapons and different exosuits, whichever way you want to go. So everyone is going to start as the Ranger, the middle of the road, all around type of class. And then as you progress through the game, you're going to unlock the other 3 classes. So 3 classes at launch, that's confirmed, and there is definitely talks of them adding more classes or more exosuits in the future. So we'll definitely want to look out for things like that, but I'm sure they won't touch on that for a long time. Dark Life asks, do you think there is enough room for so many looter shooters right now? Save question for later. I'll answer it right now. I do think there is a lot of room for looter shooters. Borderlands isn't announced yet. Borderlands 3. I think, with the exception of battle royale games, I think it's like one of the games that people not playing PvP want to play. Or I mean, so basically, like, that's a half and half thing. So you have people that want to play story games, and you have people want to play looter shooter type games, or I call them investment games, games that you can constantly go back and always have something to do. Monster Hunter was very good for that. Destiny's been very good for that. Division was good for that for a while. But games with weekly rituals that you can go in with your friends and do this, do similar things, but constantly working towards a new goal. Or, that's another thing that I didn't even bring up, is that there is a pretty well in-depth crafting system in Anthem, and it's going to take some work. They seem very proud of the fact that some of these crafting items will take some time to get to, and knowing that up front that it's going to have like that level of grind and time investment into it just makes you happy on the inside, knowing that we could potentially get our money's worth out of this. I mean, that's definitely something that I'm looking forward to. But to further answer your question, Dark Life, is I honestly do. I mean, I may be biased because it's the type of game that I want to play right now. But all of them do all of the games in that genre kind of do one thing really, really well. And even if you said you wanted to play them all for that one thing, you could. I think there's enough time in a content cycle for that to work. Even if you said you put in 5 hours a week of this, 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 it works, because I know people that do it right now. People play Division for a few hours a week. People play Monster Hunter for a few hours a week. People play Destiny for a few hours a week. So it's really how people want to invest their time into doing it. And I think the most critical part of there being so many of them at this point is that it's only going to make the other ones strive to be better. Like I gravitated towards Anthem mostly because it's a BioWare game. The first time we really saw anything about Anthem was in E3 2014. We saw a very, very short trailer of some of the worlds they were building for Anthem. And I mean, E3 2014 is June 2014. We didn't see Destiny until September 2014, and that's where I became hooked with Destiny. It was August at the beta. So playing Destiny for a couple years, them announcing Anthem in 2017, but I mean, it wasn't a secret that this type of game from BioWare or an EA company was in the works. So knowing that ahead of time made me heavily invest into Anthem. But having Destiny be a game that I love playing all the time, loving BioWare games at their core, having that experience combined into one game is definitely something that I'm looking forward to. And knowing that having these two games in the same space is going to make competition breeds innovation. That's one thing that I think most people can agree on, is that if you have so many things doing the same thing, either they're all going to be watered down or they're going to constantly make each other, make them better. And I think with companies like Bungie and BioWare and Massive working on Division 2, they're constantly going to look at different ways to make players play their game as opposed to others. And that's the dream. For as a person that can appreciate all of these games, that's absolutely the dream, is just to have so much diversity in the same space leads to better experiences for whichever one you prefer more later. So if I pick up Anthem and I really prefer it more so than Destiny, even though I like Destiny, if they start doing new things and Anthem starts falling behind and people are losing engagement, it's only going to force them to do more things, more new things, and make a more positive experience for the player base. And I think that's absolutely the way we want to be right now, or where we want to be right now, is just constantly innovating games. I say it all the time, every time E3 comes up, and I saw a friend of mine tweet that out earlier today, is that why are we going to go out there and just sit there and bash consoles or bash bash developers, just saying anything about things that you don't like at E3 or things that you do like at E3. Bottom line is it's just a great time to be a gamer. I think it's we are in a golden age of, video game technology and video game passion right now, and it's really going to drive better game. It should drive better games regardless of platform or platform preference or gameplay preference. I like to play looter shooters. Like, that's just what I have just grown into as a gamer over the years. I like to play sci-fi games. I like to play looter shooters. Darklife says the style is spreading to other game types like the Crew too. Oh yeah, that is true. So the Crew is very much like an open world type of game, and same thing goes with I mean, I guess you can kind of say Horizon is very similar too. Like at its core, Horizon is a car game, but it's very much an online shared world experience. So there is that level of innovation spreading throughout the gaming space in general. It doesn't have to be just the specific genre that we're looking at, so that's always encouraging to see too, is that it's making more games want to be diverse, and that's awesome as well. All right, so we are going to move on now to the Twitter polls that I posted up yesterday. So I asked everybody, and I'm really surprised to see the level of engagement with these things. So I'll show them up right here and get my ugly mug off the screen for a second. So I asked, since 24 hours have passed since EA Play, let's hear your thoughts on your main Javelin, freelancers. We'll discuss this tomorrow's web show, which is today. Retweet for science, because I just want to see everybody seeing it. So it's a pretty staggering 36% wanna main the Storm, which is not really a surprise to me, but it's a surprise it's a surprise knowing that we haven't seen a whole lot of that class just yet. So 36% of the people said the Storm, 33% said Colossus, 18% said Ranger, and 13% said Interceptor. And I think what the more interesting thing is seeing 13% of the 33 people, 13% of the 33 people said Interceptor, and almost beat out the Ranger, not knowing anything about the Interceptor other than it's a bright green thing that looks pretty awesome. So then me personally, I asked, what's your thoughts on your main platform? I bleed Xbox green, and people know that I do. Most of my friends don't seem to be interested. I've met so many PC players since joining Mixer and the Anthem community already, plus added visual fidelity being in it should be in 4K over 60 frames on PC. And 56% said Xbox. So it's very encouraging. And that was a pretty high turnout too. 71 people said 71 people voted, 56% said Xbox, and 44% said PC. So I'm torn, but like I said before, Origin Access Premier is going to be giving you the game 5 days early with unlimited access to the game. So I'll be playing there first, and then going to Xbox, and then probably maining Xbox depending on immersion. Which character will be my first character? So if I had to pick today, it would definitely be the Ranger, just because I don't know enough about the Storm or the Interceptor. But I know that I don't want to be the Colossus. If you're gonna ask me personally, I don't want to be the Colossus. I'm not that tank. I'm not the tank. But the Storm looks interesting. The Interceptor looks interesting as well. I keep saying I want to see the healer and know who the healer is. But that's just my thoughts. So if I had to pick today, it would be the Ranger. Go Rangers? No, I'm an Islander fan, man. it's the only reason why I don't want to be a Ranger. So we'll take some questions now about some of the things we saw at EA Play or E3, some of the interviews, YouTube videos, everything that has been seen over the last couple of days in regards to Anthem. We'll do this for about another 10 minutes or so and see some of the conversation we can spark. Darklife's definitely the Interceptor. I like knowing Darklife personally. I would have said either Storm or Interceptors, but knowing he's going to be that, like, Interceptor's the Rogue. I mean, that's kind of like what they've given us the impression of. 4K and HDR. I don't think it's gonna be HDR on PC, but it's gonna be it should. I can't say gonna, but it should be 4K HDR on Xbox One X. Yes, 30 frames. It's They said it's gonna be locked on legacy consoles at 30 frames, but it's not 60. It's not 60 on original Xbox. They're trying to see if they can push Pro and X to 60, but it's not confirmed yet. They went hard on locked 30, and then Mark Darris kind of came out and said, you know what, maybe the newer consoles can run the 60. So it might still be in the cards. But it's over 60 on PC. Is the PvP not going to be ready at release? There is no thought of PvP at all right now. So it's not even a ready or anything like that. It hasn't even been a thought yet. So, but it's not out of the question. That's confirmed. Interesting. Well, are we gonna see more at Gamescom? We're trying to force their hand and get them to tell us whether we are or not, but they're not. They're not telling us. I was in the Anthem Insider Discord today, and Bags from Anthem Insider, he's from Greece, so he is very much interested in going to Gamescom, and he's trying to find that information out as we speak. So if he finds out, I will know, and I will get that out to everybody. He has been known to give me little tiny tidbits of information that I haven't shared with anybody, but I mean, stuff like that, he'll let me know whether I can or cannot. He's a little bit more well connected than I am. Yeah, but you missed that discussion before, more. We were talking about PvP, and actually, Anthem Insider did an interview with Vasily from Dev to Dev, and he said if they want to have a game that's going to have a 10-year lifespan, it's almost absolutely necessary to have a PvP mechanic in it, but we'll see. Just try to get a dev on the show. I mean, that's a game plan. Hey, if you're watching, I would love to have anybody on, and we'll discuss the game and development. I think we're a little too far out right now, but it's definitely something that's in the works. I've talked to some of them personally, and I'd be excited to get them on and just get their takes, because they're equally as excited to see reception as we are to see new game. Especially seeing what happened with a game with a game like Andromeda, and to know that people can have confidence in BioWare, even though, I mean, it's two completely different studios. E3 hype, reach out. Like I said, I have some things in the works. You got sad news on Destiny 2? What's that, Craptic? I do know a lot of people that were at E3, like the entire cast of Freelancer Codex. They were there. Sly Nation, he's there. So people I talk to on a relatively regular basis are there experiencing the EA Play event. I know JD. JD went to the demo I think 3 or 4 times. JD from Freelancer Codex podcast, and it was really, really funny to see him just always go back. But I mean, we may not see something for a few months, so lasting impressions is definitely a big thing. In the trailer, Shade got shot by his own gun by the Queen's brother. Okay, I mean, is that something they just showed at the PlayStation conference? Because I've been doing a podcast for 55 minutes. So I have yet to see that. So if you guys are watching on YouTube, as we're recording the live session of this on Mixer, the E3 PlayStation conference is going on right now. Oh, it's on Activision's Twitter? Okay. I'll have to take a look at that one. But I've been so, like, chest deep with Anthem stuff this weekend that I haven't thought about another game. I don't think I've turned on my Xbox all weekend. Which is really a shame because I really want to play games, but there's just so much to digest. It's like my head's been spinning all day thinking about, like, what different stuff we can get into and kind of what to cover today. I haven't. No, I have not. As Morbid saying I haven't. I know. As you can see, these guys are green in my chat. These guys are green in my chat here. Morbid Methods and Dark Life. They are two of my mods and two of my close personal friends, and we game on a regular basis, so they know that I am not lying when I tell you that I have not been online. Possible me crossover. What, you cross over to PC? Come to the dark side, my friend. I mean, I'm not even like an ambassador for PC because I mean, like, oh, there definitely was. There definitely was. There in one of the customization modules they showed a an N7 skin on a Ranger. That's why represent. I know. But you're not like hardcore PC though. I don't think I'm gonna get hardcore PC unless everyone stops playing the games I want to play. Like then I'll get hardcore PC. But I like friends. But I plan on playing with everybody. I want to play with everybody. It's no, I know, and I agree though. I'm not hardcore PC. That's why I'm trying to let the community sway where I go. I'm gonna play where the more people that I like are playing, and right now, my two of my best friends are saying that they're gonna be playing, so we're gonna be playing on Xbox. Battlefield 1942 on PC. Well, until I played Destiny 2 like a month ago on PC. The last game I played on PC was either Doom or Duke Nukem 2. So. Good games. I mean, that's when Duke Nukem was real good, man. It was still a side-scrolling platformer. Yeah, I'm all about it. And I mean, the original Doom just set the tone for so many great games beyond. Oh, speaking of Dark Life, I know you're like really paying attention to that, the new Doom also. F yeah. It's definitely some time off. They didn't show enough of it for it to be like coming very soon. So I mean, we can't force good games to come out sooner than we want them, than they should come out. You know, that's I think the lesson learned here with Andromeda. So we'll take two games there and look at the two drastic ends of the spectrum. Is you look at a game like Andromeda that they pushed out much sooner than it should have came out, and a game like AC Origins that they pushed back a year, and look at the quality of the games that came out. I liked Andromeda. I thought it was a good game. I don't think it was Mass Effect quality. I don't think it was a Shepard trilogy quality game. And I also haven't played AC Origins to really say how good the game was. I'm just going off of other people's impressions of the game. But I think that really is the tale of the tape of saying games should get pushed back if they have to, and people shouldn't get pissed off. The investors shouldn't worry about these things. You'd rather have a good game that's going to sell as opposed to push out a game just to sell units. What info are you looking at getting on Anthem? Oh, what info am I looking forward to getting on Anthem? I want to know more about the two classes that we didn't see a whole lot on, the Storm and the Interceptor. I want to know the cadence of content that's going to come out in the future. And I think those are the two biggest things for me right now. If you had to ask me right now, what's this? Because if it's going to be similar to a looter shooter, you know you're going to get like a 15 to 20 hour story, and then you're going to get your gameplay loops, whether your ritualistic type stuff and your daily stuff and all that kind of stuff. Those aren't the things I'm worried about. I'm worried about the long-term delivery of content, and those are things that I haven't seen yet. So those are the things that I'm worried about. Raids. I want to understand what the different things are. They have a 4-man activity called a stronghold. Some people are calling it a raid. It doesn't necessarily seem like one to me. Now, if they're going to call this a stronghold and be an incursion like Division, I'd say go back to the drawing board and make something a little bit more involved. Because I think incursions in Division kind of missed the mark. But there's going to be some sort of in-game activity, and I'm not necessarily sure if what they're calling a stronghold is the raid, or if there's going to be some higher level difficulty activity in the future that they're going to announce. I hope there is. What do you hope for more? Anthem becomes king, or D2 Forsaken brings D2 back to dominance? I want them both to be good, because I think you missed a conversation Dark Life and I were having about it earlier in the stream, that if both games are good, we have two games that are constantly at competition with each other and forcing each other to make even better decisions. Division 2 will have raids now. Yes, I did see that. Division will now have 8-man raids, so two fire team squads are going to be able to do that. But Morbid, to answer your question completely, I want both of them to be good. I want both games to be good. I don't want to have to devote all the time into one game. I've been down that road already, and then you have this empty feeling inside when things don't go as well as planned. Like when you have content droughts in Destiny for 6 months, like we've had multiple times. I wanna have multiple games to play. Which one am I looking more forward to at this point? Anthem. Because new is new, you know? I will tell you, Dark Life, and you know my feeling on Fallout in general. Fallout 3 was pretty good. Fallout 4 did not grab me, like, at all. But because Fallout 76 is a co-op game, I am that much more interested in it. So if you buy it at launch and it looks pretty good, I would be hard pressed to take a look at it. It depends on release date. It really does depend on release date, because yeah, Fallout 76 is what we're talking about. It depends on release date. So if it's going to come out in that same pocket, you know, February, March of 2019, it might just fall to the wayside just because of what's going on. So we should be on our second content drop of Destiny at that point for third content drop. So you have Forsaken, Joker's Wild, and I forget the second one that they have coming. Should be somewhere in like the April-May area. But I expect Anthem to consume my life immediately. Funny story, wife bought me Fallout in hopes I would abound on Destiny. Yeah, funny story. I bought Fallout 4 hoping that I would have something to play for a little while, and it just didn't grab me. I went to Target, bought it for $15. I was like, all right, I got a new game to play. I literally put it in, played it for like an hour or two, and I was just like, this ain't Destiny. What do you think of the annual pass? I think the annual pass has great value for what they could potentially provide. $30 for 3 content drops is cheap in relation to what we've got so far, and then knowing that there's going to be content moving forward is definitely an encouraging thing. Yeah, me too. Game Pass looks better than the annual pass. No way. Like There's not enough selling me on Game Pass right now. Like if I had to pick whether I buy Destiny for $70-$80 or buy the Game Pass, no by itself. Gears and Forza I'm sold, but I'll also buy annual. Yeah, but that's the thing, is that like you have to have that investment thing. Like I never got invested in Gears, but I also did play Gears after the fact. Like I never played Gears when it was the thing. Oh, it's $1. It's $1 for 7 days right now. It's $1 for a month for the next 7 days. Is what you're saying? Yes, I think they have to add more stuff. The getting the new releases is definitely encouraging, and knowing that Forza and Gears are going to be there day one, as well as Crackdown whenever it decides to come out. That's definitely a good thing, but you have to seeing where they went with it with Sea of Thieves and State of Decay. You basically have to put every first party title on there day one. So I mean that definitely adds the value for it, and 6 indie titles. So all day one, 6 indie titles. That's interesting. That I didn't see. That I did not see. But I think that's where we're gonna call it. We're a little over an hour right now, and that's I try to keep it clean. So we are going to be back next week. We'll discuss anything else we're going to see over the course of the next week with Anthem. Sub to the YouTube channels and join the Discord to see more Anthem content in the very near future, because I got videos going up every couple of days, which has been really nice. And we will be back next week, 9 p.m. Eastern time, mixer.com/Lupo to the rescue. Guys, I appreciate everyone hanging out. Want to thank everyone for the hosts today. The new follows today really means a lot to me, and I will see you all next week.